welcome.
Earlier that day, as President Joe Biden prepared for his pivotal 2024 State of the Union address, protesters demanding a ceasefire in Gaza are blockaded outside the White House and near the Capitol. The protesters, wearing shirts with the slogan "Biden legacy equals genocide," spread out a large Palestinian flag across Pennsylvania Avenue and formed a human barricade by sitting in the road to block traffic. According to reports, the demonstrations were large enough to force President Biden's motorcade to take an alternative route from the White House to the Capitol. Global affairs analyst Ejika joins me live from Texas for more on President Biden's State of the Union address. Thank you for joining us on the news at this hour. The U.S. president seems to be facing quite an underwhelming approval rating and widespread concerns over his age of 81. I don't know if you're the right person to give a very fair overview of how we performed in that address, but let's give it a try.
Oh no, I'm going to be objective. I mean, he had his night. He was reading from the script, and he was very fasty. And he took a good jab at the former president, and that's fine. That he had the stage, he had the microphone, so he was as loud as he could be. But fundamentally, Americans who had an opportunity to look at him as long as that State of the Union speech lasted, to see his body language, to see his agonizing moment, and to see periods where he stumbled. So what's going to happen is when the debate is on, there's no script, you're going to now have to take questions from the moderators. That's when we're going to start to see that Joe Biden is not ready for a second term. And we Americans are not going
to. Yes, I hear you clearly. I just wanted to jump in quickly. He apparently sent a message to Israel to change its strategy in Gaza, using the opportunity to pressure the Israeli government to allow increased humanitarian assistance into the Gaza Strip and also pursue a two-state solution once the war is over. Do you think that stance is enough to persuade those who seem to say, or who have protested earlier on, to say that he supported genocide in that part of the world?
Well, I think it's medicine after death. Israel is emboldened because of the support that Biden gave them. On one hand, you're giving them ammunition to defend themselves, and then on the other arm, you're giving food for the people that are being, mistreated. So no nation needs to have food dropped, in their country. People should be able to live, freely and be able to produce to the extent of their capacity. But when there is war, and that war is being supported by the same people who on one hand is giving arms and the other people are giving food, you have the crisis that you have. I'm hoping that they, love their neighbor become a golden rule in that region where the Palestinians and Israelis come to terms about this is the only area they have. So they're going to have to figure out how to live together. The American involvement it's already, made the situation tilted in favor of Israel. And I hope the Israelis will come to terms and, ceasefire and begin to have a serious discussion for a two-state, situation. The two-state thing is not new. It has always been there for decades, but nobody seems to care about it.
Indeed. But Netanyahu has adamantly resisted requests to embrace a post-war sovereign Palestinian state and what you call the two-state solution. It will be interesting to see, the body language of a Republican leader. I don't think anything would change the bilateral relations between the U.S. and Israel, irrespective of Israel's stance. Do you agree?
Yes, because, without American support, Israel would be having a very tough challenge, given, the nations that surround them. But I think in the 21st century, they're beginning to realize that, we can do better than what we have done in the past. The Palestinians are now emboldened. They are now having, Palestinian people who have origin and sympathy in that region serving in Congress. Some years ago, that was never the case. Now they're getting involved in all kinds of American political life. And so they're going to be as loud as the Jewish Americans. And then, that's going to force maybe some resolution that we weren't able to see in the years past. But at the end of the day, people have one country. You may have dual citizenship, but you gotta have to physically live in a place. So it's up to them to come to solution. America has tried, everybody has tried, but now it's incumbent on them to now look each other in the eye and say, hey, we got to do better than this. We don't need a third party to come here and try to solve a problem that we can do ourselves.
Well, it's obvious the political line is now drawn between Biden and Trump. We're hoping to see if that debate is going to happen. It will be very interesting as well. Global Affairs analyst Ejika Opa, that's our time. Thank you for joining us on the news.
Thank you.